All right, thank God for fantasy football season. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, it's called Redemption Rehab. And if you tuned in today, it's because you want to do one thing, and that's start winning money in fantasy football. Today, we're talking about my top picks in daily fantasy football that'll help you get the job done. So let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
All right, yeah. It's week 15 of the NFL season. Today, we're talking daily fantasy football on our website, fantasyfootballredemptionrehab.com. If you get a chance, check it out. We've got some great picks for you to help you win some money on Fanduel. We've got some great quarterbacks to choose from. We've got some great running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends that we really like, and some sleepers to go along with them. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to RT Sports
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are on RT Sports checking out the projected point totals for each game. As you can see here, the Jets-Ravens game was played on Thursday night. Hopefully it helped you in your season-long leagues. But as you can see in the left column here, the Buccaneers, Texans, Dolphins, Seahawks game, Browns game, Rams all have medium to high scoring points. As you can see over here, the Texan game is the high point total projection for the week. In the right column here, you can see these first two games are low point totals. You might want to consider steering away from a lot of players in those games, but the rest of these games, other than the Eagles game, seem to be pretty good, high scoring games in which you can get players in to help you win some money on FanDuel. So let's head over and check out some of the rankings on RT Sports to give you a better idea who you should be looking at for week 15 of the NFL season on FanDuel. Okay, here we are on RT Sports looking at their top rankings. As you can see here, Lamar Jackson's already played, so he would not be in our tournament because he's already played on Thursday night. So anybody that plays for the Baltimore Ravens or the New York Jets are not available in this tournament. But as you can see, there's some great quarterbacks to choose from. We really like Deshaun Watson. Jameis Winston's playing with a fractured thumb, so I'm leery on Jameis Winston. Of course, Drew Brees had a big game last week. He plays against the Colts on Monday night, so he's worth looking at. Patrick Mahomes is always worth looking at, and I also think you could take a good look at Russell Wilson. But the problem with these quarterbacks is they're really expensive on FanDuel. So let's take a look at some guys that aren't as expensive that you should be considering to help you save some money to get some expensive players in your lineup for week 15, like Carson Wentz. We really like him, and the most expensive player on FanDuel this week at quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. I do like him a lot, but he's the highest paid quarterback left in the tournament. Not sure I can afford him. And a couple quarterbacks I'd keep my eye on, maybe 3 of them this week that aren't very expensive. How about Ryan Tannehill? He's thrown for multiple touchdowns in like 5 of the last 6 weeks. So he's on our radar against a weak Houston secondary. We also like Baker Mayfield. Look, this guy is going up against a college coach that benched him. That's the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. And his backup at Oklahoma was Kyler Murray. Both Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray won a Heisman, so this is a big time game. A lot of motivation for Baker Mayfield to play well. So we're going to get him in our lineup. And the last one I want to mention that isn't even on this list is the old man, Eli Manning. He's going up against a weak Miami secondary. I don't think they're going to want to play hard. They're only supposed to be about 50 degrees or less. So I think Eli goes out with a bang, and he gets us about 250 yards and a couple touchdowns. And the best thing is he's one of the lowest price quarterbacks on FanDuel. So let's head over and check out some running backs we like this week. Okay, here we are back on RT Sports checking out their running backs. Let's take a look at their top 10. I really like Christian McCaffrey against Seattle, but you know what? He's so expensive. If you put him in your lineup, you have to come up with a bunch of sleepers, so we can't afford him. Same thing with Derrick Henry. He's having a big year, like he did last year at the end of this season, but there's a problem. He also has a hamstring injury and he's questionable. Another running back I really like this week is Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is going to play a lot because of the injury to Alexander Madison. He's not playing this week, so Dalvin Cook's going to get all the carries. And a running back I really like here is Nick Chubb. He's leading the league in rushing. So if you can get Nick Chubb in your lineup, or maybe even Kareem Hunt, they should have a good day against a weak Arizona defense. And the running back I like the most this week is Chris Carson. He's affordable on Fanduel, and he's going up against one of the worst defenses against the run. So we're going to try to get him in our lineup. We've also got some sleepers we really like at running back this week. So let's head over and take a look at some wide receivers we have to have in our lineup for week 15. Okay, here we are on RT Sports looking at their top wide receivers. You gotta love Michael Thomas going up against the Colts on Monday night. He's having a big year, and I love him this week. I like Chris Godwin now that Mike Evans is gone, but he's got a tough matchup against Darius Slay. Not sure if I'm going to put him in any lineups, but I do like him. I really like DeAndre Hopkins. Secondary down in Tennessee is a little banged up. I also really like Kenny Golladay. Once TJ Hawkinson and Marvin Jones went down, all they have left to throw the ball to is Kenny Golladay and Danny Amendola, who I like as a sleeper, and he's really cheap on FanDuel. Another wide receiver I got to have on my team this week is Jarvis Landry of the Cleveland Browns. We can stack him with Baker Mayfield. They should have a big day. Jarvis Landry has 7 receptions in most of his games this year, at least in the second half of the season, and he's playing well. He does have a small quad injury, but I think he'll be playing on Sunday and expect him to show up. But if you can't afford those wide receivers, let me give you some names of some sleeper wide receivers you could throw in that are very inexpensive on FanDuel, like Deontay Johnson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a huge game last week. Or how about Russell Gage of the Atlanta Falcons? Once Ridley went down, this is the guy that's going to take his place. Or how about Chris Conley of the Jaguars? Once TJ Shark went out, he might be the next man up, and he could have a big game against the Oakland Raiders, who are playing their last game in Oakland this week. So that should be a barn burner. And the one guy I want to mention is my deep sleeper. His name is Justin Watson of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's only $4,500 on FanDuel, and he's taken over from Mike Evans down in Tampa. Everybody thinks it's Brashard Perryman, and I agree that he's going to have a big game, but the next man up is Justin Watson. So keep an eye out for him. He might have a big game this week in Detroit. So let's head over and take a look at some tight ends we really like this week. Okay, here we are looking at some of the RT Sports top picks at tight end for week 15. Starting with a guy I have to have on every team this week, and that's Zach Ertz. Philadelphia Eagles are going up against a poor Washington defense who has gotten better as the season has progressed. However, the Eagles have lost most of their wide receivers, and they have to throw the ball to either Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert. I suggest either one of these tight ends. Another tight end I really like this week is down here. It's Tyler Higbee. He's playing for the Los Angeles Rams. He had a lot of receptions last week and the week before, and as long as Jared Everett's out, which I don't expect him to play this week, I think Tyler Higbee could see 6 or 7 targets and get you a touchdown this week against the Dallas Cowboys. If you need some sleeper tight ends to save some money, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns' David Njoku. He's playing against the terrible Arizona Cardinals defense that it always gives up touchdowns to tight ends. So if you need a sleeper tight end, David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. Let me give you a couple other tight ends I really like down here, Ian Thomas of the Carolina Panthers. He saw 10 targets last week because Greg Olsen was out. If Greg Olsen's out this week, I could see Ian Thomas getting a lot of targets and possibly a touchdown. And a deep sleeper, if you need one, is Jonnu Smith of the Tennessee Titans. So they like to throw the ball to the tight ends down in there in Tennessee, and Jonnu Smith could be a player you want to keep on your radar this week and in the future. Let me give you some defenses that might help you in week 15 of the NFL season. Okay, here we are looking at the defenses that you should be looking at this week on RT Sports top 10 list, such as the New England Patriots. Boy, they're going to wallop the Cincinnati Bengals. They should be putting a hurt on them early and often. If you can get New England as your defense, they've been good to me all year. I suggest you do it. However, they're really expensive on Fanduel. And the other defense I really like is their number 3 defense, which is the Buffalo Bills, going up against a banged up Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I can't get these guys in a lot of my lineups. I'd like to, but I've decided that I'm going to go cheap at defense this week, because I'm not sold on any of these other defenses, and the 2 I really like are really expensive. So let's head over and check out some of the lineups I put together for week 15 of the NFL season. Okay, here we are looking at some lineups I put together for you to look at on FanDuel. I'd only put together 2 this week, so let's check them out. I kind of like Eli Manning at home against a weak 29th ranked opponent in Miami. He's really cheap, and he's on his way out in New York, and I think he's going to put up some decent numbers. It's supposed to be about 50 degrees. I didn't stack him with any New York Giants, but if I did, it would be Darius Slayton. I tell you what, I also like Chris Carson. I have him in all my lineups. You can see here he's going up against the 32nd ranked opponent. His backup is hurt, Rashard Penny, so I expect him to play a lot. My sleeper pick at running back this week is Boston Scott. He had a huge week last week. Jordan Howard's out this week, so I expect him to get some playing time. I also love these 3 wide receivers. They're top ranked on RT Sports. Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kenny Golladay should all have huge days. I've got 2 top tight ends on RT Sports, both going up against low-ranked opponents. And I decided to save a lot of money and go with the Cincinnati defense at home. It should be poor weather there, rain, maybe in the mid-40s. So I'm expecting a low-scoring game. The point total in this game is 40 points or less. So I went with a cheap defense this week. Let me give you another lineup that might help you win some money on FanDuel. Okay, here we are looking at a different lineup to give you some other options. If you go with Baker Mayfield, who we told you has got a revenge game against Arizona's coach because he didn't let him play when he both played at Texas A&M when he was in college. So there's a revenge game there. Chris Carson is a running back we told you we liked. We're going to stack Kareem Hunt with Baker Mayfield. We love Michael Thomas. We love DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to stack Jarvis Landry with Baker Mayfield. We told you Ian Thomas last week had 10 targets, so I expect him against the 31st ranked opponent against tight ends to get a lot of targets this week, because Greg Olsen, the starting tight end, is out this week. We told you our sleeper this week was Boston Scott, who had a big game last week, and Jordan Howard is out. And our sleeper defense is Cincinnati Bengals, basically because we're stacking our lineup and we don't have enough money. Okay, there you have it for week 15 of the NFL season. We gave you some great players that you can choose from to help you win some cash on FanDuel. I'm Buster Brown, the show's Redemption Rehab. Good luck.